Just remember that sunshine always follows the rain, and wrap your troubles in dreams. Dream your troubles away.
Where were you born?
Well, if you don't know, Heinsberg, Vermont.
Okay.
Damn it.
Damn it.
Well, there were 6 of us all together.
Uh-huh.
My mother died in 1927 in childbirth, my youngest sister.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then my father died 6 years later in 1933.
Yeah. What did they do
my
for a living?
My mother was a nurse.
Yeah.
And my father was a farmer in Vermont, dairy farmer. My grandparents on my father's side were dead when I was born. They were lived to be very advanced ages, but they died before I was born. So my mother's parents are still alive. And a little town, Moncton Ridge up there, my grandparents took 3 oldest of us. And Wesley and Eva, my mother's brother, his wife, couldn't have any children, didn't have any, and they took the 3 youngest, including the baby. That included the baby, and they lived right across the street road from each other.
So you children were still pretty close,
Yeah,
even
we
though you
were
all
right there, the family. Yeah, we didn't. We had a family that supported everybody.
What was the age difference between you and the youngest?
Well, I was born in 1920, and Ila was born in 1927.
Oh,
There were
okay.
6 children, but they didn't get married until he was 39. My mother was in her 30s when she died.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The youngest, my mother's youngest sister's still alive. She's 91. She just came back from visiting up in Vermont. But one of her daughters died up in St. Johnsbury, Vermont, and so her other daughter is down in Norfolk, Virginia.
Uh-huh.
And she's down with her now, not living with her, but in the vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's still self-sufficient, takes care of, gets around. Roger's father bought that farm Depression years.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was he's my brother-in-law.
Right.
See, Helen had a birthday. She was 81, just the 30th of June this year.
Uh-huh.
Just the other day, and Roger was 83, 6 months older than me. Well, I wasn't very good at farming chores. Of course, we all had to help.
Right. Why do you say you weren't very good at it?
Well, my brother George, he loved the land. I love the land, but I don't love working on it. He wanted to be a farmer, and after the war, he bought a farm and was a farmer. But anyway, we were up there. We were isolated. We didn't have any electricity and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so today, instant communications. And it was a life of drudgery. There's never any let up in work.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing you see the Amish people doing now is the way we farm.
Mm-hmm.
The horses and plowing and all that, and that's hard. A lot of physical labor. Anyway, of course, we were young enough, so we didn't have heavy chores. But I guess when I was about 10 years old, I had about 10 cows to milk or something that I was responsible for. And hand milking. But, you know, I used to, after my mother died, of course, my father couldn't take care of 6 kids, and our grandparents were parents to us. And my grandfather had been an orphan himself, and he, you know, they were very good, very strong family ties.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was split the kindling. Grandmother cooked on the wood stove. My mother did too when she was alive, but I wasn't old enough to split kindling then. Yeah. And split the kindling and brought the wood in for them stoves, you know. We need it, and then, of course, up there they had a basement under the house. It was on a slope. You could walk in, they stored a lot of wood in there in the wintertime when the weather was bad. Didn't have to go out in the snow to get out. Mm-hmm. And get the water, and go to the well and draw the water and bring it in for drinking. And the water in the cistern that came off the roof of the house was used for washing clothes, but wasn't water you could drink. Mm-hmm. So, and all the other chores that go with a damn farm. We were able, and then we go visiting, and we around there, you know, you gotta hold this or hold that and chop the weeds. I didn't like that kind of stuff. John Selma said, well, told Wes and all of them, send me down there. They could live with them and help them, you know. But they have better school system in Massachusetts. They did much better. Because I was making, they just top grades in Vermont. But I didn't have work for them. Wasn't being challenged much. Mm-hmm. Got down there and then started school in September 1935. I was a sophomore in high school then. So that little school in Bristol, high school, and I had about 30 students in the class that graduated in 1938 in my class. And so we did have in Westfield, Massachusetts, they had what they called 3 different areas in the high school. You go the what you call the people going to go to college, required to take foreign languages and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And they had agricultural section, and they had section like trade school for people who wanted to be machinists and things. But mm-hmm. That's got a lot of manufacturing around there.
Beautiful dreamer, wake unto me. Starlight and dewdrops are waiting for thee.
It's a beautiful country.
Yeah.
And we were invited and want to be tied down to life of it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't interested in farming. And for a living, I would never have made a go of it. Yeah. My brother was able. He liked it, and that was his big interest in life. The only thing I wanted to do was fly airplanes.
How old were you when you got this interest in airplanes, and what was it?
7 years, something. Somewhere around there.
Did you meet somebody who was a pilot, or did you see?
No, I used to read. I read a lot.
Yeah.
The library in town. We had one-room school, one teacher, 8 grades.
Wow. And
when I didn't have any trouble in school and the library. I had a lot of time. I was sitting there and nothing to do, and reading library books. I think I read all Zane Grey and anything else in the library they had. And at home we had a good library too. And my mother and father had a lot of history books and stuff like that. But anyway, So reading took me away from the drudgery. See, you got something going on in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You live in a different world while you're doing something in this one. And then we had a mail plane that came by occasionally up and down towards Burlington and Albany, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That go over, and I said, and I was reading, and then we got a radio that had hot shot batteries that you could get 2 or 3 stations on when they first started broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's connected in New York, was one nearby, and then we get these, and the evening they'd have these shows, you know, Jack Armstrong, the All-American Boy, and they had things up flying and all that, you know. But we didn't very much. That's kind of a just short period of time. You get a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's too damn busy working.
Yeah.
They sit around. Anyway, and then when we had free time, we had an old buggy that with no seat on it, right? Then took the shafts off, though, you know, for the horse to draw it.
Mm-hmm.
Just had the slats or the 4 wheels, and put a rope on the front axle on each side, and you could steer it and go rolling down the meadow on it.
That was for fun?
It didn't have any brakes on it, but of course it was leveled out way down. Thing we were, you know, you see a plane go over, and used to read everything you could find on. Flying wasn't considered any very practical thing in those days. You know, wooden airplanes, fabric,
Mm-hmm.
very fragile, underpowered, all kinds of engines in them. And but anyway, then get night, dream about like going down that, what you call it, down the meadow on the buggy, and you know, dream that you're on your belly and you're flying, and you feel the air currents and you're chilled in your wings and all, and that was so vivid I can still remember it. And then after I started flying, really flying, it had the same sensations. Like you're part of the airplane, you know, you're one with it.
Whistle while you work. Put on that grin and start right in to whistle loud and long. Just hum a merry tune. Just do your best, then take a rest and sing yourself a song.
Back then.
Well, the first thing I had to do was learn to fly, and that costs money.
Yeah.
So I did like a lot of people did. I went through that service training,
Mm-hmm.
but I was wanted to be in the Army for years. The only thing is you couldn't apply for cadet training until you'd be at least 21 years old to get commission.
Hmm.
And they wouldn't accept you if you went any earlier. But first you had to have a good stiff physical you had to pass. And then you had to have minimum 2 years college credits.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any money. And somehow or other I got 2 years college credits.
Which college?
Hmm?
What college?
Tri-State College, Angola, Indiana. It was a place that went year-round. You could go year-round. That way, instead of 4 years, you get your credits quicker.
Mm-hmm. And did you go there specifically for that reason, to hurry up and get credits so you could fly?
Yeah. Well, first I had to graduate in high school, which was no problem because anyway, in Vermont, we were little grammar school was Bertha Dean was a teacher, an older woman. She taught, I don't know how many generations of our family in the past, and they were young. And in order to get in high school in Vermont, you had to pass a test down at grammar school. When the 8th grade, they had to take that test and pass it. If they didn't, they couldn't go to high school. So they let 7th grade take it, just so they'd be familiar with it the following year. So anyway, they kicked me from 7th grade right into high school. Somehow or other.
I know better than that.
Somehow or other, I made it out to Indiana. I don't know where in the hell the money came from, because I was working every chance I had, and 30 cents an hour and stuff like that. But we made it in the Depression years in those days. And of course, any traveling I did was on my thumb, which in those days, truckers would pick you up too, you know. And so I got my 2 years college credits, and I didn't aim for anything else really, because I was looking for a service. Came back to Massachusetts and applied. See, I majored in aeronautical engineering, so we were getting a lot of on the drafting board, you know, stuff. See, nowadays you need master's degrees and you name it in order to even ask for a job almost. In those days you work in, I knew a lot of people never been to high school, successful people. And anyway, because Wesley told me I was wasting my money, and I was able to get a little bit through him. He was the guardian. In those days, you were guardian had you until you're 21 years old.
Okay.
He had to sign for me to join the Army, and he was reluctant as hell about it.
Really?
Because he got gassed in World War I himself. He didn't want to see us kids go in the Army. But anyway, I say you're wasting your money. Went out there to school, and but I did, and I was lucky. A lot of people help. I mean, every time, you know, they help give me jobs when I need them. Good. And I need one all the time. So I came back to the East Coast. Went down Hartford, Connecticut, and Pratt & Whitney, where they build aircraft engines.
Okay.
Applied for a job in the engineering department, and they gave me a blueprint of an engine part. I had errors in it. Asked me to draw them and corrected drawing, and then bring it back and show it to them. So in the meantime, I got to eat, and I got a job in a lumber camp.
Yeah.
They had a hurricane come through up there in Massachusetts and New England and knocked down a bunch of timber. So here I am in the wintertime at the end of in a sawmill and pulling the damn slabs and the stuff off the saw. And ice and snow on it and all. And we were living in somebody's house up there, and a gang of sawmill people. I had, when they didn't have anything to do, I was reading. And then, needless to say, they were catching a lot of flight from, well, they were tobacco chewers and boozing it up in the end of the week and all that crap. Anyway, so that's why I supported myself, and then I'd work on that drawing, you know, in the evening. And I took it back to them, and they heard me.
Great. How long did it take you? How long did it take you to redo the drawing?
Well, considering what I was doing, working along with it, I don't know, but 2 or 3 months.
Really?
And but anyway, I got hired, and that was great. Thing is, I didn't have any money. Didn't get paid every 2 weeks. The white collar worker, and they paid every 2 weeks. So I lived on a bag of apples for a week because I was too damn. Didn't want to ask anybody for money to get food to borrow. I could have, but it just didn't want to do it. So, needless to say, when payday came, I had a steak.
You were hungry.
And
yeah, that sounds like
it
you.
took a long time to get like apples. Anyway, yeah.
I can see you
John
doing it.
McGrath and I, we made some friends there, and he was in Geneva, New York. Another fellow. We were and making more money a week, and a lot of people had families working. And in those days you had silver dollars, and all you had to do was ask for silver dollars you wanted. We felt so good to have a pocket full of money. The pants coming down, you had some silver dollars in there. Anyway, I'm sitting there East Hartford, Connecticut, looking out the airfield, and the aircraft coming and going, the engines running, going down. Of course, had run of the plant down in the test houses where they're testing engines, and all. Later on, I was flying behind them, some of those engines. And so this, I don't know, I was there just a little under a year, I think. I was too young to fly for cadet training appointment.
So you were under 21
Too
still?
young, oh yeah.
Okay, at this point?
Yeah. So I went to, anyway, considered Tom McGrath, myself, we decided we'd join the Army under certain conditions. So I wrote a letter out to that time Chinook Field in Illinois. It was the headquarters of the Air Corps, the Army Air Corps schools, technical schools, and asked them if I enlisted, if they would send me to school. And they came back and said yes. So then I went to a civilian doctor in Hartford and get a physical, flight physical, see if I could pass it.
Yep.
And I wasn't going to join the Army if I couldn't pass physical. And passed it fine, so that was the main thing. I had my required college credits, and I had physical was good. So in October 1940, October, 1940, I hitchhiked out to Chicago and went down to Chinook. So we got, of course, those were all two-lane roads those days. You didn't travel like you do today, but 90 miles an hour.
Right.
Got to Chicago, and first time, of course, I'd ever been out there. I wanted to go to the opera. I'd never been to an opera. See, we used to have those records at home when we were kids, with Caruso and all, along with the history books, the Indians and you name it. Anyway, went to the opera and slept through that.
I guess you didn't go back. Huh?
When they and told me I wanted to go to aircraft armament school out in Denver because I figured that'd be something that would fit in good. I didn't want to be a mechanic, but in the aircraft armament you learn all about the armament and the guns and all that stuff. way it works, you know, the systems. And those days they were firing machine guns through the propellers.
Really?
You had to have a timer on there so that you wouldn't hit a prop.
Right. Wow.
And so anyway, Tom McGrath, he said he was going, I don't know when the hell did he go? I think it was photo. No, I guess he went to engineers. He applied for an engineer training or something. They had us there unassigned. We got $21 a month for the first 3 months, buck privates. Yeah. And we were the labor pool for the whole damn place. Shoveling coal, we used to heat all the water in the buildings with coal-fired units.
Mm-hmm.
We shovel coal, and then we go on KP, back and forth. KP was worse than shoveling coal because in there at 4 o'clock in the morning, come out of there late at night, 9, 10 o'clock or whatever, covered in grease and filth. God.
So how long were you stuck doing that?
Well, we were there for a little while. We were there several weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And before we finally got sent on to school. Then we went and got school, and they pretty well had us tight, but they had us tied up in school. Good, but in the weekends they'd catch us on KP and stuff like that. Again, they kept us busy.
No break.
Damn little time off. And when we did get some time off, we had a good time up in Denver. And then we graduated and went down to Alabama, and another fellow from West Virginia, big old fella, he and I went down Maxwell Field, Montgomery, Alabama, and there was a pre-flight school for cadets.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had some other activities there, flying activities for the advanced cadets, and they had gunnery practice, so they had the armament on the training aircraft for firing and all, and we were hooked up with that part of it.
Okay.
And then we went down, we were sent down Tyndall Field in Panama City, and at that time the Norden bomb site was a top secret thing, and that was there. Besides working on armament down there, it's kind of a proving ground. That's when Jimmy Doodle B-25s were practicing short field. Mm-hmm. Takeoffs and landings, takeoffs, mainly getting ready for a Doolittle raid.
Okay.
And they were working out of there, and of course we didn't know anything about Doolittle raid then, but that's what it was for, turned out. And we had to take turns, and we were, they used a group of us, and of course rotated to guard that damn Norden bomb site, stand guard on that 24 hours a day.
So what year was this that you're talking about now?
Well, just before I went to flight training. See, I was in flight training when Pearl Harbor was bombed.
I was just about to ask you what you were doing when Pearl Harbor was bombed.
But, so I was enlisted for a year, a little over.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we were down there. We were beautiful beach at Panama City. Mm-hmm. It's the most beautiful beaches in the world, and hardly anybody around there. Big paper mill up the road, east of town, but you go along the coast and not see a car or a house or anything.
Yep.
And so we had some cabins right on the beach under the trees there. That's where we were living. Had our own cook.
Really?
It was wonderful, wonderful spot. And anyway, we got promoted one stripe, private first class. And then we this other fellow and I, and then the next month we got promoted to corporal. That was $54 a month pay. That was pretty damn good pay. See, we've jumped from 30 to a few dollars over and then to 54.
Good.
The next month came along, the other fellow made buck sergeant, 3 stripes. And the commander called me in, he said, Burritt, I got your orders here to report to your cadet appointment. You've got your cadet appointment confirmed. By that time I was old enough to fly. And I said, so therefore I'm not going to waste that promotion on you or give it to one of the other boys. So I made corporal while I was
Okay.
2-striper, lowest non-com there is, just like the major, the lowest staff officer. Anyway, then I went to cadet training, $75 a month, living in high heaven here, I'll tell you. The whole thing is that before I ever went in the service, our service, I considered going to Canada and joining the Canadian Air Force.
Really?
They would take them 18 years old there.
Oh, wow.
Train them. But my grandparents would have been, they would have killed them.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
We did have people who went over to Canada and joined the Canadian Air Force, came into, later on, they got in the Battle of Britain and all that stuff. And then later on, those that lived out of it, a bunch of them got killed, came in back into our service.
Okay.
Later in the war. No, that was where the thing was over in Europe when the jazz bombed Pearl Harbor. Not a surprise. It's a surprise because they had Cape Verde doing it.
Yeah.
And surprising us, we didn't have anything. We didn't have any guns or anything. And damn few airplanes, really. It's amazing what this country did and build up so much material in such short time. Because after we finished flight training, we were moving all around Hellington, and we were practicing low ground air support. The type aircraft we had, A-20, a light tank bomber, just like the A-10 you see flying around low. They're tank busters. They come in, support.
You have a picture of one of those in the den.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's A-20. And at that time, that airplane was faster than any fighter we had.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, that was a damn good airplane, sturdy too.
How long did you fly those?
Well, I flew those until they changed over to A-26s, but that back in this country. You know, all the time overseas. And yeah, they were we supported ground air. The troops, we were almost right near the front lines, just behind them.
With our full crew aboard and our trust in the Lord, we're coming in on a wing and a prayer. One of our planes was missing, 2 hours overdue. One of our planes was missing with all its gallant crew. The radio sets were humming, they waited for a word. Then a voice broke through the humming, and this is what they heard. Coming in on a wing and a prayer. Coming in on a wing and a prayer.
The thing is, a lot of times they flew an airplane once or twice, and that was it.
Okay.
We'd go somewhere and see an airplane sitting there. Well, can we fly it? Yeah, go ahead and fly it.
Really?
Yeah, and we'd kick the tires and make sure it was worked all right and go up and fly it. So I said I've flown one airplane with a high-wing parasol.
Yeah.
The wing was supported on struts. There was an observation type airplane, known 3, you know, the tail dragging on the ground. And I don't even know the name of it anymore, or the number. But needless to say, there weren't many of them. And the old 47, the old observation thing that looked like pregnant duck, where the observer ride me, one of the gunners, myself, and say like right in it, and I said jump in. We went up and flew it. And
Yeah.
main thing was getting it on the ground without ground looping it.
Wow. Jeez.
Anyway, because your nose up, you can't see where you're going. No, I flew the Spitfire and over there, and flew B-25s and C-47s. You know. Then, of course, I was in the fighter squadron, P-47s, the old Thunderbolt, after the National Guard. And we were dying to fly Messerschmitt, but their commanders put stop to it because some of them had been sabotaged. The Germans, they put sugar or something in the fuel, you know, they put something, and they'd already killed one or two Americans who wanted to fly one of them, and they said no, but so he kind of didn't get to fly that. But I one checked out in what you call it, English, that damn fighter two-engine wooden plane they had that was so fast. Can't remember the name of it now. But and then we volunteered for that. And then the Americans changed their mind. They said, no, we don't want to release you for that thing. Probably just as well.
For which thing?
Flying over in across the Adriatic Ocean, over in Yugoslavia at night, that kind of weather. We didn't have radar in those days and that shit. But
what was your favorite plane to fly?
well, most of them I flew, except the last one I wasn't a favorite, but all the others I flew I liked.
Did you?
Yeah, you got attached to them, but I didn't care for the turboprop. It was the first airplane in the world that carried more than its own weight. But it was comparatively underpowered. Didn't have that big an engine on it that was designed for. And on top of that, the damn thing, you had to sit there and it was turbines, the engines. You had to sit there and keep close eye on all that stuff. You were, it was a different, not like the old 124. It didn't look like it would get out of its own tracks, but that damn thing you get in the air, it stayed there.
Yeah.
It's stable, and you could depend on it.
Where were you stationed overseas at first?
Where?
During the war, where were you stationed at first?
Went over, and we flew our aircraft across the South Atlantic over to Africa. When, because we didn't, it was winter time. And the northern route, we didn't have de-icing equipment on A-20s. And didn't even have any oxygen equipment on them. And certainly no heat. And it's like riding in a wheelbarrow. As far as, whatever the temperature was, that's what you got.
Right.
They were, some of them planes, not the A-20s, but some of the planes were being flown from here across the North Atlantic, Greenland, Iceland, and that way. But we were going to Africa, and we couldn't take that winter weather and with that aircraft. And on top of that, once you got to England, you had to get down past France, to Africa, Knox held territory down in there. So we went across down, left West Palm Beach, Florida, went to Puerto Rico, British Guiana, and down into Brazil.
Okay.
And flew out of Belém, Brazil, to the Azores. Not the Azores, Ascension Island.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we had no fuel for.
Okay.
Because we had 400 gallons in wing tanks. We had a tank in Bombay that carried 700 gallons. But you couldn't release it. Once you loaded that in there, you were stuck with it until you burned it up.
Okay.
And if you lost the engine, you said you couldn't stay in the air with it.
Wow.
You got too much weight. So we were overloaded and everything, and we got over Ascension Island, and then from there up to Liberia.
Okay.
And then up the east coast of Africa to Gambia, British Gambia, which is just below Dakar.
So,
and then we had to go over the Sahara Desert because we were over territory that along the coast of the French. Dakar, we didn't know free French or the reception you get, you know what I mean? And so 2 days across Sahara Desert, that's a long ways up that damn sand, I'll tell you. And we get into Marrakech and Casablanca.
how long were your missions or assignments when you would fly into there?
Yeah, right.
How long would you stay there and fly?
It varied. This just en route. We were headed to North Africa to get into the war.
Right.
My case, I was there longer than I wanted to be. Before we started overseas, these planes had been built by the Douglas Company, and they sat in Nashville for a while, and waiting, you know. And nobody had evidently had run the engines up or anything. And what happened, there was around where the piston rings fit in the cylinder. Some of them developed some corrosion.
Okay.
Well, that's when you do that. What you're doing, you're pumping oil by out the exhaust. And so when it came out of the depot there, we were given an airplane, each of us. We were going to fly across the ocean. But first we give it a good test flight.
Mm-hmm.
Fuel consumption and oil consumption, and check everything out. I mean, a lengthy one in this country. Well, some of them had to have an engine change, put a new engine in because they were using so much oil.
Okay.
Because you can't get out there and fill the damn oil tank when you're in the air.
Right.
And my airplane was one of them. They got a new engine put on. The other one was okay. From there on till we got to British Gambia, we didn't have a bit of trouble with it. We gave it a good check each time we landed. I had the line chief was in charge of all the maintenance in the squadron with me, plus one of my gunners. But they're in the back, you can't come back and forth, and they're stuck back there, and I'm up front by myself, just a cockpit this wide, like fighter cockpit. And anyway, we got out of Gambia, got over the desert, and I think we were up about 10,000 feet because the sandstorm, there was sand on top of the damn stuff was bottomless. Anyway, we got the line chief called me on the interphone. He said we got a lot of oil loss on one of the engines, one on the right, I guess it was.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, and so in the meantime, we had the cockpit. You come up over the back of the wing, you walk on top of the Bombay and the top, about that way. They'd have big hatches, like a long one that closed down when you got in your seat.
Okay.
Well, what they done, in order to get, they had extra stuff on board. In order to get a tow bar over there, they put a tow bar up there on top of that damn thing. Tow the airplane with.
Sure.
Up on top of there, and what they'd done is shorted out my damn transmitter. Well, at this particular time, when we turned around to go back to down to Yum Dum Field, I didn't dare try to go in the car, which was just a little bit closer if I could make it. But see, they have so much fuel on board and it's so heavy that it wasn't supposed to stay in the air. And I mean, you wouldn't be able to hold it in power and maintain the altitude. As long as you're descending a little bit, you're okay.
Okay.
Because you got gravity working with you, but you're losing altitude in the meantime. See, one of my friends had lost his engine and he tried to belly in on the desert. And of course, with all that load of fuel on board, the whole damn thing was a fireball. There went no way in the world I was going to try to belly in on that damn desert. I told them in the back, I said, we get down 3,000 feet and I can't hold down to them. If you have your water, all your water, you can then bail out, and I'll let you know. So anyway, we turned back, and the people on the other planes are whichever you're into with this way.
She's okay. I got it.
Yeah, she'll wipe you up. People in the other planes called and asked. Of course, that time my nickname was Woody.
Your nickname was Woody?
Woody, yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, we were going around picking people on the back. Woody Woodpecker, you know. They stuck Woody on me.
She's okay.
Here, all right, over here, Selby, over here. Now sit. I could hear them calling, but they were asking me to, why I was turning back. And they said they could see the smoke coming behind me. Of course, the oil trail behind me. And but nobody could get me because my transmitter shorted out because of that damn tow bar behind my shoulder, see.
Jeez.
Some airplanes had copper and stuff on board they put behind the engines to get essential materials overseas.
Okay.
And we were really loaded, I'll tell you. Anyway, we got headed back, and I'm watching the oil pressure gauge, a number 2 engine this, and started fluctuating. It'd go down a little bit and then come back down a little bit. It wouldn't come back as far as it did before. Then it got all the way down. And
who's that?
She didn't come back anymore. And right then I punched it out because I got to get that prop feathered.
Yeah.
Here's that big blade sitting there, big drag of this, and windmill it. And you can't wait till you run out of oil because the feather mechanism was oil powered, that big hub in front. So I punched it out, and never done one, the blades are feathered. And then I'm flying like this, and then trying to hold all the altitude I can and still keep control of the airplane. It was pretty mushy, but we were right on that verge of a stall all the way down.
Wow. We
got down to 3,000 feet and full power on the other engine, and that was the engine, the new one only left States. We burned it up before we got home, but we made it back.
Jeez.
And we got to, no, get away in there.
You know what, I'm gonna...
We got down there, and then of course, no parts, no engines. We had to wait for an airplane. We were We got down 3,000 feet, we were able to hold altitude, barely, like this. See, but I can have enough. Close everything up as much as you can, you know, reduce drag on the aircraft as much as you can.
Right.
Everything's tight, the engine's running hotter than hell and full power, and you know, we're not going to go anywhere except you're going to land there pretty soon, one way or the other. Either that or bail out.
Yeah.
And as long as they stay in the air, didn't want to bail out, of course. And so by the time we got back to that little field, anyway, all it was a bunch of matting laid on the sand. That I don't know, there's 3 or 4 cylinders that burned out on the good engine. The only one running sounded like a coffee grinder. That it wasn't going very far, very much longer. And there's the field there, and like I say, I've got one chance to make it, and that's better be right then. And we, because I miss it, there's no way going around make another stab yet, and a power left. And so we came in, and we were high enough so we could make a half turn or whatever. And of course, they're puffing out smoke, pouring out of that engine, and got back far enough so I could get it planned good, and got the thing headed towards the field and unwinding all the trim I had, that rudder trim all the way over as far as it'd go in order to hold up against that power. And of course, as you get nose down, pick up a little airspeed, and you reduce in power, you gotta straighten it out. You're not can't hold that rudder. And then got proper distance in the field, figured I'd make it. I dropped the gear, because once I dropped it, it wasn't going anywhere, so all that drag set down. So we got down. And then got out there and tried to tighten, and of course the engine sounded like a bucket of bolts.
What do you
really did. We had to be towed off the field. They got oil running off that airplane like it went through a car wash.
Wow.
It pumped it all out. That tank was about dry, the engine that just made that. Well, you're talking, that was English field. I was suspicious of the English. We went in there. When I was a kid, that's all we heard up home. The English and the French and the Indians. They were all trying to divide the colonies in the Revolutionary War.
Right.
Those stories still live up there with the old people when I was a kid. And I was damn suspicious of them. But we got down there, and boy, they were all over me. They gave me more beer than I could handle. We were very, very fortunate. And so then, of course, there's no engines there, and no nothing, except some Quonset huts. And we had to wait for an airplane. Turned out that we were sending these same type aircraft over to Russia.
Okay. We're still talking about A-20s, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the airplane I was with. And then there was one up in Dakar, that's French place. They had bellied in. Made a belly-in landing. And I don't know what they did to it, but anyway, they got it jacked up. And they asked me if I'd like to take that up to Casablanca. Well, belly landing should change engines. After all, you got sudden stoppage.
Right.
I said yes. I said, yeah, I'll take it up. But send the men up on the C-47 came through.
Okay.
Not take anybody with me, I take it by myself. Because it was doubtful piece of machinery. Well, I got the Americatch. It was at Fort Tyndall. Have you ever heard of Fort Tyndall? The French Foreign Legion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was on the south of the Atlas Mountains. Americatch is up a little bit more in the mountains. I got the Americatch, and the field was closed because it had been raining and it was soggy. But I was using oil. I was pumping oil.
Oh.
This airplane, and I wasn't going further than Marrakech, because I wasn't going to have enough oil to get through. And so I landed, and getting red lights all the way, and from the tower, you know, don't land, it's closed. Anyway, landed and rode to stop the end of the runway, and nose wheel sunk into the mud.
Oh, no.
That's all right. We were all in one piece, didn't hurt the airplane damn bit. So then they gave me hell about landing. So every choice, I'm running out of oil. So we hauled around out, and I got up there and filled up the oil tanks.
Mm-hmm.
And we got some gas up on the wing and took off, went to Casablanca, and later twin trails of smoke behind me because pumping oil so bad right by the rings, you know. And you had to run the engines on the ground wide open for a little bit in order to burn the oil off so they'd smooth out. They would run it rough and didn't want to run. They had oil over the spark plugs. Anyway, we got up there, and some old general met me. I know where in the hell I got that airplane from and what kind of trouble. They've been having a lot of trouble with these things, but rusting. And so I told him, and then they did the work that needed to be done. Changed engines, take it up and test fly it. And like a damn fool, I go over the coast there in Casablanca, and some of my buddies down on the sand, and they go upside down and do a split S. Well, if I'd have been 50 feet closer to the ground, I'd never have completed that split S.
Wow.
Well, you know, because you coming down like a boat. Anyway, we do our little show-off stunts and make asses of ourselves. Then we took it on up and joined the English up around Kasserine Pass area.
Mm-hmm.
And they went in there and got in there, and all I see some planes on the ground and few wrecks had been burned. The Germans had air superiority. And where is everybody? They're all underground. See, we had dug holes in the sand. That's where you slept, and that's where we got our chill.
Mm-hmm.
Like a big slit trench that's covered over, and you walk through there and get your chill. And so that's where we started flying missions out there.
How many missions did you do in North Africa?
Well, I did 68 altogether.
68?
Yeah, well.
In what year? What year were you there?
Well, we were there, went in up there and then over to Sicily and up into Italy. I left Italy, Naples, 17th of May, 1944. And homeward bound 28 days. 28 days on Liberty Boat back Norfolk. We were on the seas when VJ Day, Norm Day was invaded.
You were on the sea coming back home?
Yeah.
On D-Day?
They always burned down the hill. I didn't. They had then I got shot down my 41st mission, I believe it was. And then I was lucky we were behind the lines, but the wind was blowing hard back towards the lines. I headed the aircraft towards the lines, and windy day up the mountains. And so one fellow from another airplane beside us got back, and I got back. My two gunners, chutes open, they were out of the airplane all right. the squadron saw their chutes open, but when they didn't come back, they maybe captured, because they laid right on the lines. Myself, the other fellow got back from the other aircraft that went down. So,
did you get shot by ground fire or by
Messerschmitt?
Okay.
20 millimeter cannon. It went in the field cell and went in the wing.
Okay.
And blew up there. Needless to say, it started fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all got out of mine. The other fella, another plane, went down, and the bottom gunner went out, got out,
okay.
and came back. But he got back to the squadron, and I got back, but the other two, my two crew members, we didn't get back.
Tell me about getting back. How quickly did you get back, and how?
Well, it was the next day, I think, because we were at over Tina, Italy, and we were at near the front lines. We were behind the front lines, about maybe close to 50 miles, and I got hit. And we were up trying to get a transportation junction point where the Germans are funneling supplies in, so nothing in and out in that ship.
Mm-hmm.
We had 18 Spitfires for escort, and we were faster than the Spitfires were, but they knew ahead of time which we were going to break off target. They'd fly to intercept us, cut across. Mm-hmm. And we had about that number of Messerschmitts come up.
Okay.
And we had Skyfall flight. So, between a bunch of them, we had a lot of smoke in the air. Flight bursts, and then the fighters, and then Germans would send up a certain color burst of flight, and then that would let their fighters know it was clear to come in. Mm. They wouldn't shoot them down. And this fellow did come in. He got two of us.
Wow.
He got me and another plane beside me. But fortunately, I just dumped my bomb load. It wasn't bombs, it was phosphorus. And once the air hits it, that's bad news, that tail.
That's okay. Tail won't hurt her.
The air's heavy. Get your tail in around there, or sit down, one of you down here. Sit down, sit. I just had my hand on the bomb door handle, just got through pulling it up, closing the doors, when I got hit, and the airplane went upside down, and then I started working about see what the hell we got.
Wow. So how high were you?
For one thing, I had pants full of crap. Oh, about 12,000 feet.
And so, okay,
when you were away from low altitude, Africa drove us out of low altitude. We used to go in low altitude, mm-hmm. but we were getting so many losses we couldn't handle it anymore. We were down there firing revolvers and pistols at us, and even anything at all they had. So we were up, we got pushed up to medium altitude in Italy. No more low, except emergency. Anzio Beachhead, we went pretty low there a few times, but most of the time, no. So as I said, that was so when it hit damn winds. Some Americans, I heard the German machine pistols firing around, sound like sewing machines. There was all rocks and snow and ice, and then down there, and the wind was blowing and gusting 40 miles an hour and gusting, so the damn chute was curling up over here and back and forth like a pendulum, and swung into the face of this damn cliff. And then fortunately I was facing it, and I did it the best I could, like I would a ski jump or something, but then one of my shoe and bolt had come off and the chute opened. Should have pulled them out. The other one's hanging on my instep. So anyway, when I became aware of what was going on, I pulled the chute in the other way, so wouldn't be too much of a target there. And there was some rods, and here some Americans were sent up, and they're the ones that brought me back down. So when I saw there were friendly troops, I fired my revolver, and the old 45 against 3 shots, and let them know where I was, and that was, they ducked down for a bit, but then they came on and picked me up.
Wow, you're lucky.
That went into a MASH type hospital. After a period of time, lots of crutches, bruises, and you name it. Anyway, it's
Where'd you heal up? Where were you in Italy healing?
well, I started flying again. Since I couldn't use my toes to push the brake pedals, to press brake pedal, put my feet up and push under my heel.
Huh.
Let's see, the arches of my feet were, they were really, they had them all bound up, and I pushed my heel, but not but here.
Yep.
So, but anyway, I think that was 41st mission, I believe. January, anyway. Colder than a witch's tip. But they said, you can go home now if you want to. And I said, well, I'd like to keep going for a while. I was hoping to make 100 missions, but I played out. Anyway, he said, you know, when you let us know when you feel it. You don't want it. Anyway, thing I want to do is stay with it if I can. And so then we're at Anzio Beachhead. I still had all the taping on my feet and arches down. Anzio Beachhead. I didn't feel very good that morning. But I figured maybe it's some crappy booze we drank, or didn't have anything to drink except like gasoline, you know, I tried sold there. And something ate or whatever, I didn't feel too good, but we went on a bombing mission over Anzio Beach. The higher we got, the worse my belly hurt. Finally got to the point where, of course, now we're coming in over enemy territory, or, you know, they're around there. And in this case, in 820, the throttle's in the left hand, fly with the right. And I got a belly ache that hurts. And it's reached a point where it's hard to hang on to the throttles.
Wow.
But I couldn't very well get out of formation and on my own, because of in formation you're protected. The gunfire from other aircraft help protect each other, you know. It's a very limited range of travel on their guns. Out to the side a little bit, and of course we had guns in front, but we'd have to. But we got on the ground and I had appendicitis, so they pulled me in the hospital, and this old surgeon from West Coast gave me a spinal, and then they asked, so you'd like to have a mirror set up so you can watch it? And I said, no, I don't want to watch it. And in 15 minutes, he had my appendix out, and wow, on to the next patient he went.
Wow.
So in those days, they kept you in bed, like correct states, for a week or so afterwards. Mm-hmm. By the time you do get out, you're so weak you can't move, and it hurts just as much. If you got up first, they would might as well get up right away and get going with it. Anyway, they got out of bed and walked down and tried to walk downtown to when they let me up to the PAs to get a cigar. They didn't have any cigars. But I made it down and back, but it was kind of shaky. And I got a cigar, and then it sent me over to Isla Capri. They had a rest area over there, the Red Cross now. Beautiful spot. And along with some of the other fellows in the squad. In fact, a lot of us we'd gone back with the Americans now. We weren't with the English anymore.
Okay.
And so we were invited to Bill and somebody over there, and of course wanted to drink. Everybody moved it up and having a good time, and Butch from Mississippi was there, a friend of mine. We the dice game going on, and said, what do you? I just said, I don't know anything about dice, and he said, well, you have to either bet with him or against him. Are you with him or against him? And see, I didn't have any money. All my money was going to the bank in the States, except my flying pay. I do that. That was it. And said, I got over to Isla Capri. I didn't really have any money to speak of, and so I said, well, we went that route, with him or against him. And I don't know what was going on, but all I know is I won enough money so I could spend the rest of the time there and have enough to spend too. I felt very fortunate that I got home from that time we got shot down, because if I'd have been in a prisoner and had appendicitis, I probably wouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
And so then after 68 missions, they got to the point where I just didn't trust myself anymore. I was burned out, scared to death, and every time, once in a while, that flight go off, you'd be close enough so you could feel the concussion of it. And you wonder how many times you're going to avoid that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And the airplane picked up a bunch of holes. So far I hadn't been punctured, and I didn't want to get punctured by helping. So anyway, that time I wasn't safe to fly with anymore. I got a couple of men on board, and I got other people in the squadron. We're flying close formation all the time. You know, we're just like one airplane, a group of you. That's for our own protection. Up and down and all around, and damn flank right on your tail or a little ahead of you, who knows. And just got to the point where I burned out.
Wow.
I just quit now, but I can't handle that anymore. Yeah, 28 days, and I got on a Liberty boat with a convoy, destroyers running around, dropping death charges every once in a while. Big convoy headed back to the States here. Then we got home, but I couldn't eat, all drawn out, and it was just a traumatic experience. Very disillusioned. Nothing like the books.
Yeah.
Where you go in there and I'll get you, you old bastard, and not like that. This son of a gun's after you too.
Well, what was it that made you want to go to 100 missions?
No, I don't know. They were flying 25 and letting them go home,
Yeah.
you know. But then,
A lot of other close calls?
over the years, anybody that flies kind of equipment we were flying and across the oceans and back and forth, so the number of years we did, and there were quite a few, yes. Times things came up, weather, conditions, maintenance problems, you name it.
Yeah.
But that's just normal to the business we're in.
Yeah.
And the main thing was to be able to overcome them at the time. Yeah, old John Kelly and I, we were. He used to be my flight commander at one time.
Yeah.
And he loved to fly, same as I did too. I loved to fly. And he just said, I don't care how I go, as long as I'm in the airplane. I go pilot, aircraft commander, or whatever, just as long as I can go. He was great. Anyway, we've been. The only thing is John and I would. He liked to fly nighttime and sleep daytime. I like to fly daytime and sleep nighttime.
Quite the opposite.
There is a time we set our own schedules. We set our own itineraries. That job we were in. So, anyway, I say 4 o'clock in the morning, get up, old John. Jesus Christ, 4 o'clock in the morning. He said, we'll sleep till noon and leave at 1.
So how do you guys overcome this difference in time?
No problem. Happened to be, he might have been my flight commander, but I was the aircraft commander. And he went along with anything I said. He went along with it. He didn't back me up because I was the man in charge. Now, if I did something unsafe or whatever, he had authority to take it over, take flight over, and get me in that right seat, and that'd be it. No, he backed me up when I did. When I was thinking of, we went to Alaska. I don't know where in hell we started from, somewhere in Georgia, or someplace, went somewhere and got something, and went up, all the way up Fairbanks, Alaska, way up, hell ain't gone above Anchorage. Well, we had an 18-hour crew duty day. We could work 18 hours, then we got to rest. We had basic crew. So, we were scheduled to end up in Tucson, Arizona, and then home to Georgia. So we get up, going up Fairbanks, and then come back down to Seattle, landed there to offload cargo, and maybe pick up something else too, but offload anyway. And it was supper time. Well, we were going to go to Tucson, or at least John thought we were. By that time, our 18 hours would have been up. Then we just crew rest and go home. Well, I said, hell, this doesn't make sense. We have been flying all day. Here we are, late in the afternoon, supper time. By God, the white man not putting their feet under a table and eat a meal. And so what's wrong? We're going crew rest now, because they got to unload the airplane. We started crew rest now. See, the flight crew, the loadmasters, they made a difference. But the flight crew had to get there 12 hours after 18 flying. Work at night. And then in the morning, at 4 o'clock, we can get up. We'll be in Tucson. We'll get in Georgia the same damn time. But we got a better flying schedule. We get a hot meal.
Yeah.
We got a bar. Well, you old John D. I said something about it. And I said, we're going to crew rest here and now. And we're going to have a 4 o'clock get up. Try to get off around 5, a little after. Jesus Christ! You hear him all over the damn airfield. That was funny. He was a great big noisy Irishman. Just pleasant as hell.
That's fun.
Boy, you thought the other fellows are laughing. Oh, John, he didn't change it. He didn't have any reason to change it. We ended up home at the same time. We didn't lose anything in real. Just say, yeah, he like, when he got an airplane, he thought, my God, you put in full 18 hours every day. Yeah, you stayed there until that 18 hours is up. Well, you got to balance it out.
Yep.
Some legs are shorter than others, and others are longer. We got enough long months to make up for it. Especially when you go to Vietnam, we get up a 30-hour day.
Wow.
Christ's sakes, about 2 or 3 takeoffs and landings. That was kind of ball buster then. All right.
What were you carrying over to Vietnam?
Anything you could name. Almost anything you want to name. We carried a big piece of earth-moving equipment in the C-133 one time. And we carried big stuff in the 124 too. We can carry fire trucks in that thing or whatever.
Really?
Oh yeah, that was a big airplane. But we had a piece of earth-moving equipment. That 133, I forget what it weighed, but it was tremendously heavy. They had big planks all along the floor of the fuselage that spread the weight out on the members. And we got that thing in there. When we made a landing with it, mine touched down real easy. Don't make any hard landings.
Yeah.
Dropped some of the bitch to the bottom of the airplane.
Wow.
Yeah, we greased those in, I'll tell you. But we carried everything.
Speaking, it seems like you have a lot of respect for each other, and you go way
we
back.
went to school together, you know. And he was a B-17 pilot and got shot down in Germany, and he was prisoner of war till the end of the war.
Yeah. How long was he? How long was he captured?
Well, I think he got shot down sometime around the time I did, earlier. Yeah. But he was over Germany, and of course got taken prisoner.
Yeah.
But he was in the early raids on Germany.
Wow.
But he'd been recommended for the Medal of Honor for some of the things he'd done on another mission that managed to get the plane back. There's a lot of badly wounded people on board.
Waking skies at sunrise, every sunset too, yes, seems to be bringing me memories of you. Now, honey, here and there, everywhere, seems that we once knew, and they all just recall, yes, memories of you. Now, honey.
Were you together in high school?
Yeah, pretty much. Most of the time when she wasn't mad at me.
So what was Grandma like in high school?
Grandma?
Yeah, what was Ann like in high school?
I didn't. She was out of high school when I got there. You mean Ann?
Ann?
Not Ann's mother.
Yeah, Ann.
Ann. Oh, she was like herself. A nice girl.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So why'd you like her?
I don't know. Why'd you like Christy? Can you tell me that?
Yeah, she was sassy.
Yeah. Don't ever try to explain why someone likes somebody.
Okay, I won't go there.
Either it takes or it doesn't. Younger.
Did you guys plan on having that big a family in the beginning?
I'll be damned if I know. All I know, they just fell all the trees.
Well, you're awfully lucky for things falling out of the trees.
That's what I say. I was lucky I had a nice wife. I think she had planned in her mind that was the reason he got married, to have kids.
Yep, we had enough
Thank
of
God I didn't know about her ahead of time too much. Once I got hooked, I came flopping in.
She didn't let you go, that's for sure.
No, it's been it's been a wonderful addition, I'll tell you.
Yep.
I feel sorry people don't have any kids,
Yeah.
or just have one even.
Yeah, there's nothing like coming here when everyone's around. It's a nice big family now, that's for sure.
We have big families up in Vermont most of the time, a lot of them, but our family was never one like Ann's family was. It mingled together and had fun. Let you hear them, do what you want. Makes difference.
It does.
Well, Ann was a nurse at the hospital in Massachusetts.
How long after high school did you guys get married?
Well, I don't know. She had graduated in 1940 in high school, then went to nurses training.
Okay.
I graduated in 38.
Okay.
Then we got married in 1944, wasn't it?
And that was right when you got back from...
Yeah,
Okay.
overseas, yeah.
So did you guys write a lot of letters to each other during your time at war?
I didn't write many letters, no.
No?
She did. We didn't write a lot of letters, but we wrote. We corresponded, but didn't have nothing to write about.
Were you engaged when you, at any point before you left for the war?
Not really.
So you came back and then asked
Came
her?
back. Well, I probably wouldn't have got married, but she asked me what my intentions were.
Good for her.
I told her they were not honorable.
They were not honorable? And she kept you anyway, right?
Yeah. So that was it.
And so you said at lunch you wanted to have some fun, she wanted to have a family, and
That's right.
9 months later you had Bill, huh?
9 months and 3 days later.
Yeah?
Don't forget the 3 days.
That's important, I won't. That's great.
It worked out that way.
And then you decided that was so good you had Patty a year later?
I know. I think everybody else damn likes them. They were all welcome.
Just 6 more?
They were all welcome. We were getting them faster when you knew what to do with them.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
They're all same. Every one of them was a challenge trying to feed.
Trying to feed?
Yeah. Well, every time we were already struggling to buy groceries, here we got another one on the way.
Most
Well,
as a
Bill
kid.
was born in Orlando, Florida, Orange General, while we were stationed in Kissimmee. And he was in labor about 18 hours, and first child, I was more worn out than she was by the time Bill was born.
Were you in the room with her?
No, just outside. Oh, no, they didn't go in the room those days.
Okay.
Separated.
Yeah.
Thank God. And then Patty was born in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
She was the next one. I had the measles when she was born.
Oh, no.
And went to see her, and then she and him, till I found out I had the measles. I was running temperature and didn't know why. Doctor said, probably got the measles about the third time I'd had them. And sure enough, so John went down and picked Ian up and brought the baby in Ian home after Patty was born.
Huh.
Ricky was born in Massachusetts also. And he was a good baby. Never like this one, he was quiet, plump, easy to get along with.
Yeah.
Patty cried a lot. And early, when she was younger. Then David was born. We were in summer camp down in Cape Cod, P-47s. So my aunt's mother called and said he was in the hospital in Westfield, baby. So I took P-47 and flew up to Westfield, met him in the hospital. That's where I saw David first time. And of course we just got through losing a fellow down there when the fellas in the guard eating breakfast that morning, crashed into the water, dive bombing, and he was one of our old high school classmates in Massville. So we lost several fellows in the guard. And then David and then Robbie was born. I was back on active duty. I was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, going to school out there when Robbie was born. Just preceding going to Greenland. They sent me to supply school out there, which I didn't want, but the guys anyway. So we were getting our flying time the best way we could. Those of us who were rated. So another fellow and I took C-47 basketball team, some kind of ball team down to, down there in Louisiana. It's named that field where they do the electronics and stuff. You know, Keesler Airfield.
Okay.
They had, this team was playing and, you know, they were competition trying to get national
Professional?
championship. Well, some kind of ball team.
Okay.
It's service type thing.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And
gotcha.
so we were landed at Keesler, and there's a message in the operations that a telegram. He and his mother sent a telegram, said Robbie had been born up in Massachusetts. And the kids are still there. They stayed there until he came back from Greenland. Turned out that Jack and Betty Mason were there, and Jack Mason's family is from Blanford. They were all good friends of ours, and so we celebrated Robert's birthday with them that night. And then after that, school went to Greenland and got stuck up there for a year in base supply. And here the kids were alone for a year up in Blanford, and don't leave or anything. And came back and got sent out to Spokane, Washington. Special weapons supply officer. That was atomic nuclear weapons. And see, I was way up my territory. I didn't, desk jobs I don't like.
Yeah.
And I had all kinds of damn extra duties. Anyway, we were on alert 6 and 12 hours every week. Switch back and forth A or B. 6 hours to respond or 12 hours. So we couldn't get very far away from our residence or whatever. And then I was lucky. I got a flying assignment in the same wing. 79th Aviation Depot Wing, right Patterson Air Force Base out here in Dayton. That's a C-130, just went over.
Yep.
Tell me the sound of it.
Yep.
But they not only had the mission of storing this stuff, and of course keeping it up. They had the assembly sheds and disassembly sheds and all that. But they also had the mission of transporting it. And that was by air. They had 3 squadrons. One in Salt Lake City and San Antonio, Texas, and one in Georgia, one in Robbins. I was lucky. That's what I wanted. I got a flying assignment with them. The best squadron there was. That was a wonderful job. But then, of course, they had to send me to 4-engine transport school because I never flown 4-engine before. So I went to West Palm Beach, Florida, and got acquainted with the 124, and after that we were flying the line with it. So we were in Georgia 11 years, then came up here and got transferred. 3 of us sent up here to help out here at Dover because the 124 people were being drawn off, the pilots, for 141, training to the 141 program. They needed some experienced 124 people, so they sent 3 of us up. And I complained like hell because I was within a year of retiring. So I wrote to Senator Long, I believe it was, at the time in Georgia, and got a nice letter back. They said they need you, and that was it. So well, here I come. So we got here New Year's Day '67. But in the meantime, over in Georgia, 1960, Teresa was born. And then in 1962, Margaret was born. Those two in the Air Force Base Hospital down there at their base. So that story of the kids. They're all unique in their own way.
Yeah.
Okay? There's not a bad one in the bunch. So what else is there to say?
That's brief.
Yeah, well, that's true. No, each one has his own powers and strong points, weaker points. So, and I see too many times around in the family different bad traits I had and still have. And but that's the way the cookie crumbles. After all, we're genetic business, you know. My biggest disappointment is most of them have quit smoking.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe it? You better believe it. Here I am coughing my head off and I can't get anybody to cough with me. Well, I still on active duty. After the war, I got out.
Okay.
In active reserve. See, I was a reserve officer.
Right.
So they were begging people to stay in. And I said, no, we got out. And I needed a break.
Yeah.
We did. We were down the tactical center down in Florida. And that's where we were doing experimental work and all that. It's an arm of the Edwards Air Force Base site.
Okay.
In fact, Glenn Edwards was in the squadron. We were in squadron overseas together in the war. But he stayed in service and he went tested the flying wing. He was assigned to that project and got killed in 1948. The flying wing crashed. And they named the air base after him out there. It used to be Muric or M-U-R-I-C. But they named it Edwards Air Force Base up after him. Anyway, I got out and went back to Massachusetts and I needed a break. Main thing I needed was get out in the country and just work and do a physical labor.
Yeah.
And so after a period of time, knocking around pillar to post and dragging everybody to hell with me. Then I got the urge to fly again and joined National Guard. They had, for a while I didn't even want to see an airplane, but they had all these P-47s sitting there and begging for pilots to fly them. I went down and asked them if I could join, they said yes. So I started flying fighters, National Guard. And then the Korean War came along and they were retained for East Coast defense. And of course in the Guard we did the weekends and spare time we flew. So I was working a couple of jobs most of the time, trying to make ends meet, and National Guard paid us once every 3 months. We figured about 33 cents an hour we were making in the Guard, flying airplanes.
Wow.
But they helped pay our grocery bill.
Yep.
And then after a while I wrote a letter at the Air Force headquarters and asked if I could come back on active duty, and they said yes, so I went back in.
What year was that? What year? About
1953, right in there, the area.
Okay. Huh. And then you did that until 1970?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. After Ann passed away.
Well, no, they made choice. We're going living.
Yep.
What are we going to do if we don't? I can go and hang over a bar and drink myself to death. But it took a while. And she's still here, you know.
That's right.
That's the thing that's good about it. Well, I'm lucky if I got somebody to hang around with and enjoy the spare moments. Gin rum in, walking, going out to eat and that kind of stuff. Low-key stuff.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite memories of you and Ann?
Oh, a lot of them, but mostly there are two of them to describe. Okay. She put up a lot on me. Any other woman wouldn't have done it. You got a saint. When you live with a saint, you know, if someone rubs off after a while, it becomes known. It's not like it's business that unknown in your own home. Mm-hmm. That just by her own actions, the way she lived, not what she said, the way she lived her own life. So impressive. Mm-hmm. And her wit and humor. Mm-hmm. Experience in the military and during the war, what were your thoughts when a lot of your kids and now some of your grandchildren are going into the service? I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think whatever a kid wants to do, that's an important thing. Yeah, but it's different. He wants to be a barber. I know it. As long as he's doing what he wants to do, he or she wants to do. Service is an open door for me. And it still is. I saw in the paper just a day or two ago about B-1's going to make a pass on 4th of July over some little town up in Dakotas, one of the Dakota states, that the population was such and such in that town, and a certain 20-some-odd% of the people in that town were members of the military. Okay? And it spoke about the difference, the backbone of the military being made up of people out of little towns and all this stuff. And a lot of reason, of course, is a door of opportunity for education, further education, and an open door to, you know, to go on and patriotism and all that. But it said if New York City, if 20-some-odd% of the people in those places like that, just New York City alone, they would have had enough people have had raised 3 armies to fought the, what you call it, but you don't find that in the big cities so much. So it seems like that most of the support and patriotism bits still in the backbone communities, small communities, which is evident around here too. Anyway, that's true. It, of course, the whole thing, World War II days, it wouldn't make a difference if Nazis were running over Poland or not. I still had my idea I want to go in the army and fly, but there was a bigger incentive because of the evil over in Europe. Yeah. At that time, it was obvious that things were going downhill in a hurry, and a lot of people were being killed off just because somebody didn't like the way they looked. Yeah. So, of all the wars we've had in my lifetime, that was the one that really had everybody's back in the, you know, more of a moral war than any of them. Now the rest of them have been ignored and all that, but still, regardless of they're ignored or thought important or not, hell, a lot of people getting hurt and killed.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, what are your thoughts on some of the, you know, take Iraq for example. What are your thoughts on that?
Who?
Iraq.
Iraq.
What are your thoughts on that war?
Well, I wish we were going to put the effort in there to go in there and get rid of it, but we put the effort in to straighten that mess out. Looking over in Afghanistan, kind of turned our backs on them. Yeah, about how much work we're doing to help them form a government and get stabilized. And we got to do something. First thing, you got to have a little social justice in the world. That may help. You stand up for that stuff. Get people thinking. Get them on your side that way. You know, people are hungry. They don't care who in the hell they strike out at. They think they're being imposed on.
Yep.
Oh well.
You know, I think it's really nice, the sense of pride that we have in this family about the military service that everyone's done.
People sacrifice a lot.
Yep.
Let's think about it. You know, you don't join the military because it's a picnic. You do a job, and a lot of times it's a pretty dirty job. But it has its compensations. Good place to meet quick deaths you want. You don't want to suffer in old age. Huh?
Wow. Do you guys, since you brought that up, do you guys talk much about those days? The World War II days?
No.
With each other?
No. There's nothing much to talk about. It's a miserable time.
Yeah.
Miserable time.
Yeah.
Not like the books make a big, you know, big glory thing of it. It's just plain slogging. But no, it's some people talk about it all the time, but that's those days, thank God, are gone. And anybody who wants a war, it's nuts.
Yeah.
There may be teardrops to shed, so while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance, dance. Let's face the music and dance.
Your attitude on life, you're very open, and you really like people, and you really are open to what people want.
Like, some I don't.
Well, true, but you're not overly critical.
We're not supposed to be. Let the Lord do the judging. That's what it says, you know.
There's a lot of
difficult sometimes to not say something, but hell of it is, they got bigger faults than they have. The ones I'm criticizing.
Where do you pick that attitude up from?
I don't know. I've listened to many years of people complaining and talking about their neighbors down, and I can't stand. And you see people that, well, he's colored, or he's Jew, or he's this or that, or he only makes a little bit of money a year. I've listened to that all my life, and I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at people, they're looking at other things that they shouldn't be looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just like we went into Wichita Falls, Kansas one night. And this wasn't the first time. Had a colored man on the crew, one of the loadmasters. We had stayed in a motel. We go in the motel and said we need a certain number of beds. So then there's a crew. We're all in there together.
Mm-hmm.
This fellow behind the desk pulled me over the side. He said, "I don't think he'd be comfortable here." The colored fellow.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Well, he's part of our crew, and if he's not going to be comfortable here, we're not going to be either." So he ended up, he stayed there.
Good.
But I had more than once had to stand up for different people for different reasons. Usually short-sighted type of thing. Somebody's precious.
Mm-hmm.
And I got enough problems of my own without tolerating it with somebody else and letting someone else feel proud of it. Me stand one side, say nothing.
Yeah.
That's not right.
You're a good man for doing that.
No, you're not a good man. The thing is, I got my own faults. I got to get an answer for. But anyway, I listened too many times, because your name's so-and-so, you're better than someone else and all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. Nothing, no one's any better than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Except in their actions and all, but
Mm-hmm.
as far as, substance goes, we're all just a bunch of useless flesh. Really, just a bunch of meat. Lucky to have a spark of life in us. That's given to us by grace of God, no one else.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, been a great life. One of the best
It
things I
has.
could want. What was that?
So as we
Somebody lost the heartbeat of the family when the name went down.
Yep.
But that's something you can't help.
Let's test this. What's your name?
You ready for beer or wine or something?
No, can I get you something to drink? Do you want something?
I'm drinking juice out my pipe right now.
You keep going ahead and doing it.
If I get the hiccups, you know.
How about I'll give you a break. Let's go grab some lunch.
That's right.
Let's go. I'll give you a break. Let's go grab some lunch,
I
And
think it's a
then,
good idea.
and then let's come back if you're okay with it.
Nothing. I don't know what the hell you're gonna do with this stuff.
We're gonna surprise everybody one day and give them a great
I
gift.
bet you're gonna be bored to death.
Not at all. This is excellent stuff, Papa.
The sun is low, the shadows long. My days on earth are almost gone. I hear a voice calling soft and low, and it says the time has come to go to my eternal heavenly home. Beyond this world there is a place where we shall have eternal grace, where fragrant springtime breezes blow, where trees stand tall and flowers grow, and the clear and peaceful waters flow. And when I reach that heavenly shore, I'll meet with those who've gone before, and there as my Savior softly calls me in to live forever there with Him. So do not weep too long for me, for wondrous visions now I see, and when your days on earth are o'er, I will meet